Hey, what's good, everyone? It's your boy, Matt Diazable, coming at you all the way out here from Seoul, South Korea. Yeah! I got a new album review that I'm checking out, and today I am checking out this band over here called Greenwitch with their debut album, Forced Out of Existence. So, this band, Greenwitch, comes from San Fernando, California, if I'm correct, and they play a type of trans death metal. That's what they call themselves. It's a very interesting title. I'm down with it. And this is their first release on a big label, which is a split release on Maggot Stomp Records and Hard Lord Records. And I think this band has been around since about 2018. They put out an EP and maybe some demos, but this is their first big release. And yeah, they are a heavy death metal band that is just intense and brutal. Those are some good ways to describe this band. So I'm hoping to do some more, dissecting and telling you what I feel about this album. So let's get into it. This album's called Forced Out of Existence, and I gotta say it's a pretty grand exodus because this band is coming at you really hard with some really groovy ass songs that would just cave in your skull with just how intense and dense the songs are. And that intensity comes from them mixing different genres here, from black metal to death metal to groove metal, to just give you one heavy experience with this album. Off the bat, the one thing that I really noticed about this band is that bass, the bass playing on this album, one, is groovy and so stupid heavy. It just makes it a fun head banging experience as you listen to the songs, like particularly the Cybernist and Grotto of Obscene Sensation. As you're listening to these songs, all you can do is make that grumpy cat meme the whole time. You're just like, It's just dumb heavy, that bass. And it's consistently heavy throughout the album, but those first two songs, you can really notice it and feel it. So I want to play a clip from the Cybernist so you can get a sense of that bass playing. So dense, so dope. The guitars on this album are just like the bass, pretty heavy and intense and got a really crunchy and dense feel to it. But I think what really sticks out about the guitars, they do some weird like guitar wailing on the, I guess, solos, or like when they're doing some like technical playing. And I legit dead ass thought I was hearing a horse like neighing in the middle of the song. And I had to play it back and I was like, wait, what is that noise? And I listened to it again. I was like, oh, that's him, like, I guess just ringing out the guitar because it sounds like a horse neighing. I was like, that's freaking impressive. I've never heard an instrument sound like an animal before, besides vocals. But that, yeah, it totally blew my mind. It's particular on the tracks Grotto of Obscene Sensation and Spewing Fluids. He does a really good job of just pinching those guitar strings and just giving a weird noise. So I want to play a clip of that so you can get a sense of what I heard. Tell me that did not sound like a fucking horse. Those guitars are really impressive. And I'd say another thing that's quite impressive from this band is the drummer. He is able to create some really intense double kicks on the kick drum, and he's got some really good drum fills throughout this album, and he has a good range of keeping things at a high or mid-tempo speed. He's very tight in the pocket. I would say quite impressive. And I think a good example of it is on the songs Body Bound or Forced Out of Existence. The kick drum here parts on these songs sound really good, and he's just all over the kit in just a tight way. So I'm gonna play a little clip of that for you. He's just pummeling you with those drums in a nice, dense way, and it's dope. And at times, the drumming can be a bit basic, but he's able to throw in those fills and those double kicks to just like make it just right to where you're like, oh, that was really clean. Oh, that was really respectable. And it just makes you remember like those tiny moments in this album where the drummer is just killing it. In terms of the vocals, I think the vocalist is doing a good job of being a death metal vocalist by having some really deep gutturals, some pig squeals occasionally to switch up the variety in their vocals. But I will say, like on a song particularly, Spewing Fluids, they add some reverb, echoey effects to the vocals, and it kind of makes it even like harder to understand their screaming. I know that sounds weird, but it makes it where they sound very muffled and muddled and just kind of you cannot understand what they're saying. So I would say that's one little critique I would have about this album so far. Now, on the pacing of this album, I would say they had really good momentum at the start of this album with the first two tracks, and then in the middle, things were really good. Not as amazing, but they were still solid songs. But as we get towards the end of the album, the last two tracks specifically, they feel like they get a little bit basic and generic in terms of like just sounding like a normal metal band with how they're playing. And also the run times for some of the songs are a little bloated. So I think they started off really good, but by the end of the album, it falls into some typical death metal tropes of being fast, heavy, brutal, but not really being too interesting. Like on the last track, Severed, it has like a 4 minute static interlude at the beginning, and I think what they're trying to do is create kind of atmosphere for this last song and everything, but it just kind of leaves you bored and uninterested. I genuinely thought this it was just going to be a song of pure static, and I kind of like tuned out a little bit. But then the song kicks in, I'm like, oh, there's actually a song after all this static noise. And when that song kicks in, it's kind of like unimpressive. Like the payoff isn't really well worth the long wait, I think. If it was a shorter static song for like maybe 30 seconds or like a minute, maybe I think it would have paid off a little bit more, but it felt like it was padding the album a little bit. This album has a really great start, a decent middle, and a kind of an okay ending. And so overall, it's a pretty decent death metal album, I think here. I can see why they got signed with their interesting drumming, guitar playing, and bass playing. There's some elements of here like why they got signed and are doing big things now. And I think in the future they can probably do some more interesting stuff. This is just the start with their debut. So for a debut, not that bad, I think. I think they did a pretty good job. And so I would say this is a nice, soft to decent 8 out of 10 for this release. Um, yeah, let me know down the comments down below what you think about this album. Any other recommendations? Like, subscribe, and comment. And Greenwitch, if you're watching, good job on your debut. I will see you guys later. And like always, see you in the pit.